welcome to the new trucking standard brought to you by the Federation of Professional Truckers. We're here to rebuild the industry from the driver's seat through real talk, shared stories, and straight up education. Glad to have you rolling with us. Now let's hammer down.
And we are recording. Welcome to the new trucking standard brought to you by the FOPT, Federation of Professional Truckers. We have the North Man and Cupcake here as usual. We're kind of coming back to doing just a recorded podcast right now. We've been doing a lot of live podcasts. If anybody's been paying attention to that, they've seen a lot of stuff been going on with TikTok. We kind of decided to just maybe step back a little bit, do some stuff just a one-on-one like usual. We did put it out for some others in our group to come on. So if they decide at some point in here and they come up in here, you'll probably see one of them join us. I don't know if they're going to be able to or not. I'm still checking the phone to see what happens. But at this point, I'm going to kind of turn it over to Matt. He kind of wrote out a little bit of an itinerary for us today, try to keep my ADHD ass on the track here. I don't know how well that's going to happen because I don't have any rails that my train ever stays on. So, it's constantly like a freaking train accident around here with me sometimes. So, but anyways, moving forward, I'll let Matt take over.
Yeah, what's funny about that is it's actually contagious. Every time I talk to you, we both end up chasing rabbits and we never stay on topic. We end up anywhere but where we're supposed to be.
I'm going to say that's me. That's my fault because I literally go, oh, well, what about this? And then it's like, okay, and then I go, well, what about this?
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen,
It's
so what
if
you're watching, just remember the trains always end up circling back. We end up finishing whatever we're working on. It just may take a little while to get to the train.
Yeah. I can actually show you if I want to. I will put it. I literally have Matt's entire itinerary just on the other screen over here, blowing up on a 21-inch monitor for me to try to stay on topic here. So. The good news is that I can stay quieter a lot longer than Matt can. So
yeah, that's true.
We got that one under control a little bit better. So, but
we got that. Hey, listen, old Matt here has been working diligently on getting quieter and paying more, listening more and responding a little more intellectually. He's getting better. I am definitely getting better. I am not there yet. We all know that.
Yeah, the thing
but
of it
I'm
is,
getting
though,
better.
is you talking isn't as much of a problem as my squirrel chasing, okay?
Oh,
because
well,
I'm that dog that will wind up 4 counties over and you never find me again if you're not careful. Without you, I'm not circling back, bro. I promise you. We are just going.
We listen for we listen for the howl in the middle of the night and go, oh, he's got another one treed. Let's go figure out where he's at.
It's bad. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Our Georgia coon hunter right there, Mr. Mike, our Georgia coon hunter. Yeah. Listen, I believe there's a lot going on in the trucking industry. One of the biggest, to get on a serious note, and geez, I love having fun with you, but we really got to get some of this stuff out. I've been noticing recently, and I think you have as well. We've talked a lot about it in our private conversations. We're having a lot of people almost kind of step to the line. But the problem is we're seeing more and more of these individuals that are doing a lot more harm than they are actually doing good. And that's becoming a very big issue in the trucking industry, and a lot of people don't understand it. Just like you were just picking on, you had to, both of us, dude. I wear glasses as well as you do. It's hard. I'm looking at my paper. I'm seeing, squiggly lines. So you and I'm not reaching for my glasses. So we're gonna do the best we can here.
Okay, well, I will read the first line off to you because I have my old man cheaters on. Actually, they're bifocals. I've moved on past cheaters. My cousin Jai, if you are listening, it is because of you that I did this. When you looked at me the one day, he come down to help me install a sliding door, and I'm doing the up and downs, and he's like,
yeah.
When are you finally just going to break down and get the glasses, please? It's a whole lot easier in life. It really is. And I'm like,
And
dude, I only
ladies
need
and
them to
gentlemen,
read, you know? And it's
there's
like,
your first rabbit hole right there. We just chased
yeah,
a whole
thank
different
you.
rabbit there for a
Anyways,
second.
yes, thank you. Keep me on track. Keep me on. Fuck, Jesus, here we go. All right. Correlation between associations and emotions. I'm going to shut up and squirrel's done. Boom. You know, here we go.
No,
All right.
this is kind of where I hope you really start chasing some squirrels, because you have some very strong opinions on this as much as I do. We're seeing and what we just spoke about, what I had just spoke about with these individuals stepping up. What we're seeing, and we've seen it over the last couple decades, probably even longer than that. But we're seeing associations pop up, and they're coming from everywhere. Okay. It's not just the trucking community, it's the communities within the trucking community. We see them with the Hispanic side. We see it. We're starting to see it now with the non-domicile CDL side. We're seeing it with the owner operators, the independents, the everyday company drivers. We're seeing different groups pop up everywhere, which is a very bad thing. It's not actually very good. It's actually bad because they keep digging those division lines, and I don't think they're realizing it. But what we're also seeing is these associations prey on emotion. They're not using intellectual knowledge. They're not using education. They're actually using emotion, because they're picking and choosing the topics that get the larger emotion from an individual. And with emotion comes response. It's very easy to target a certain group inside our industry, inside the trucking industry. For example, the broker transparency, which you and I, we've had heavy discussions about. We're basically on the same page. I believe we are on the same page with.
Well,
but broker
this is the problem with
transparency,
broker transparency, though, right now. I literally have it
right?
on good authority. Everybody wants to scream it's broker transparency. We all want to know what the broker's doing, what the broker's doing, what the brokers are doing. Well, I'm here to tell you, right now, there's legislation being drawn up
Right.
that's going to bring full. This isn't just for brokers, though. Everybody's
No,
going
it's
to know
coming
what
all the way
everybody's
around.
doing. You're going
Yeah,
to
it's
see a
coming all the way
driver,
around.
you're going to see a carrier,
Yep.
and you're going to see broker
Yep.
transparency. So this
And
is
this
where the
is
brokers are actually going to know. They're going to sit there and look at it and go, well, so if you're upset with the fact that I'm making 15%, but yet you're over
right,
here profiting 25%, how is that right? With you
right,
being a carrier, me being a broker. If
right.
our profit margins are, if you got a 10% larger profit margin than me, well, how the hell does that work? And this is where I've cautioned everybody from the get-go about broker
Well, we both have.
transparency.
We
If
both
you would
have.
literally just know your operating cost, it doesn't matter how much the broker makes. It
Well, you
does
don't need to
not
know.
matter.
You
Well,
walk
that's the
into a
thing.
truck
Well,
stop.
you're
Hey,
about to,
listen.
the thing of it is, everybody's
No,
about to know what everybody's making
I understand
because of
that,
this
but
bullshit.
you walk into a truck stop, you buy a cup of coffee for $2.50. You walk into Starbucks the next day and you pay $7 for basically the same cup of coffee with a little bit of spice. Are you really caring that you're paying the extra $7 to Starbucks, or you're paying the $2.50 for the cup of coffee? I mean, you start looking at the similarity. There's no difference in the correlation. Why do you care about if as long as you're making what you need to take care of your family, maintain your truck, and expand your business? If you're smart about how you utilize your money, then what does it make a difference? But the what we see is, and going backwards just a little bit, we're going to loop that train around real fast. But what we're seeing is certain individuals that have been coming from, and we've been seeing it this year very heavily. We see, I'm going to count at least 3 that I know of, possibly 4. No, let me say 4 that I know of, and there's probably more that are utilizing very emotional topics to get their numbers up, whether it be on any different form of social media platform. And that
Just
is
say social media, because it doesn't matter which
well,
platform. Just say social media.
that's exactly it. It's just social media. And they're utilizing the hottest, most emotional topics in order to gain the following. But the problem is they're not educating on the topic. They're
No.
just utilizing it to piss you off, to upset you, to basically, basically get in the train that's following them. The problem with these individuals is, and kind of it jumps a little bit ahead, and we'll touch base on this, as we move forward. But the problem with these individuals is they're not legal. They've formed really no association. There's nothing there but them. So what we're seeing is an emotional grab for a popularity contest. The popularity contest then leads into misinformation. The misinformation increases the emotion, and you get this loop. Now, inside that loop are dollar signs.
Oh, yeah.
There are dollar signs, there are personal agendas. It's something inside that circle that is being blinded to the people that are actually following these individuals. They're not using education, they're using emotion. And by using emotion, they're increasing their personal agenda, their financial agenda. You're seeing a very user type group of people coming into the trucking industry. That's a very big problem for me. We have several education levels inside the trucking industry. Some are self-taught, some are college students or ex-college students, some are high school dropouts. But what you're seeing is a play on emotion. I don't mean to keep repeating it, but it has to be repeated. If you feel like somebody is coming forward, and we know 4 individuals, okay, there's 4 right now, that are on a certain social media platform that are playing on emotion. They're using broker transparency. You and I both know that is literally going to destroy the trucking industry. They're playing on a truck driver's pay without understanding trickle-down economics. They are playing on anything that angers that truck driver. And TikTok, it's very easy to anger the trucking industry, where we spend a lot of time alone. Our emotions run wild. It's very easy to upset a truck driver and get them to follow you very quickly. It's just that easy.
Well, and the thing is, all you got to do is promise them that this is going to make them more money. Because unfortunately, that's all a lot of them care about. They say that they're here for a change. They say they're here for a better industry. They say bullshit. The only thing that most of them actually care about, and I've literally gotten blocked by 2 of them, because I literally went through and I went, all you're caring about is money.
Right.
Nothing in what you're doing there does anything to fix the industry for education. It does nothing to fix the industry for hours of service problems. It does nothing to fix the industry for anything. And you got people over here that are pounding on this as if it's like, look, guys, I understand we all got to come together. And they all they love to use this word unity, or unite or unified or whatever, some sort of, united or whatever it is. And it's like, look, dude, the funny part about it is this, you guys all say this, but then as soon as somebody comes in and starts to challenge what it is that you're doing, because they look at it and go, that's not going to fix the industry.
Right.
If you're talking about fixing the industry, these monetary things do nothing to fix education. Monetary things do nothing to fix insurance reform. Monetary things and what I'm talking about is wage floors, rate floors, and earning caps. None of that does anything to fix that.
Right.
And the other thing of it is this. Please, somebody, for the love of God, explain to me why a trucker that's already making 30% more than an E5 in the military right now needs to make 100% more than that. Why?
Well, because here's where
we do not do anywhere near the same dangerous job. Nowhere near.
You're right. You're right. We are lower on that list on the most dangerous jobs in the U.S. We are lower on that list. The problem is, here we go again. This is education. This is false promises and yes, we're going to chase the squirrel here, folks. We're going to go off the rails just a little bit, but I promise you the train will come back around. a lot of these new ones that have only been out here 1, 3, 5 years have been promised the world by mega carriers and schools that they're attending that they can
And watch
make all
Smokey and
this.
the Bandit one too many times.
Yeah, there's that too. And listen, Smokey and the Bandit was a big movie for me. Over the Top was a big movie for me. Heck, any truck driver. I mean, you can go back to Clint Eastwood and Clyde.
I love the movies. I love the movies.
Yeah,
I do love the movies.
they're amazing, but they don't
Realistic.
predict.
That's drama
Yeah,
and not real. That's not
exactly,
reality.
exactly.
Let's get
There's
sober over here. Son of a bitch, everything's real.
right.
Okay.
We need, and this is where the federation's coming in, because we're showing you the real. And trucking, ladies and gentlemen, trucking is a service industry, and I'm looking right at you. Pay attention to what I say. It's a service industry. This means that you are not going to make a buttload of money on it. This means you are providing for your country. You're providing for the communities. You're providing for the community that you serve. You will make enough money to do this job, to make sure your family's taken care of, that your kids are taken care of, that your kids, if they need something later down the road, that you'll have it available. That's all it's going to provide. That's all trucking is. And if you're in this to make a buttload of money, you can go talk to any carrier in the world. Unless they are financially smart and intelligent and know where to put their money, what little bit they have for profit, and know how to utilize that properly, they are not making a buttload of money. They're just barely surviving, just like anybody else is. Trucking is a service industry. It's like firefighting. It's like the police. It's like the EMS. It's like the paramedics. It's like the military. That's what trucking is.
I want to say one thing here about this service thing, because I have heard on some of the lives and the other videos and stuff, they talk about JFK and his speech from January 1961, when he said,
Okay.
"Ask not what it's not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country."
Okay.
This is literally was a call to service,
Right.
during
Absolutely
the Cold War.
Yes.
I've got some notes here because when I seen that, I was like, "Oh, great! I've taken notes on this. I can actually talk to
Yeah.
myself straight."
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it was literally there to urge them to contribute their talents to the common good and face challenges like
Right.
tyranny, poverty, and war together. It was
Right.
which is a call to, if you ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Right.
That's not saying that you need to make an ass ton of money.
No. No.
Or as Laura says, there's a difference between fuck ton and a little bit.
Absolutely.
There's nothing about that that's saying that you're going to come in here into the service industry and you're going to make $175,000 a year.
Right.
And the thing of it is this, everybody wants to talk about that. Well, truck drivers back in the 70s made $175,000 a year. The LTL drivers did, y'all. That's where most of if you're going to get into the ICC bullshit, which comes from all of that time, and we're going to get into that, these drivers that everybody talks about were the ones that were working for like ABF and Yellow and Roadway and Consolidated. They were all the LTL companies, all running under Teamsters. Okay.
Well, let's also keep in mind
companies, which were your OTRs, were more along the lines of what you have these days. Okay. Your OTR drivers were back then were pretty similar to what it was these days. There was a difference also of why your LTL drivers made that kind of money back then, because most of them actually unloaded the trucks. They don't do like what they do today at ABF and them, where they literally just go through and they just drop a trailer and then somebody comes in with a forklift. A lot of those LTL drivers were actually touching the freight.
Most of the OTR drivers
no-touch freight problem came in, was because a lot of times as drivers back then, we had to unload the trucks or load the trucks.
That's it right there.
All of a sudden, we started to come into lumper services because truckers didn't want to unload their trucks. So you would pick up a guy at a truck stop or something like that. He'd run in with you. You'd pay him $100, $200, whatever the heck they paid him back whenever they was paying him. I mean, I know when I was lumping back before I first started driving, I used to lump down a Meyer distribution center in Tip City. Years and years ago. This is back when you used to sit there with a CB and get in there. And they were
Yep.
depending on the truck, depending on what you got paid. Now, you go back 20 years before that or 25 years before that, it was a totally different world back then also. A lot of the drivers didn't mind unloading their trucks.
No.
But see, let me explain this one to you. Back then, at $175,000 a year, those drivers didn't have their pants hanging off their ass with their poop-stained underwear hanging out the back. They weren't leaving the apple juice in the freaking parking lots. They weren't running down these were professional drivers.
Yeah.
And they acted professional and they dressed professional. You've seen most of these guys and gals have either a t-shirt or a button-up shirt on and a pair of jeans with a pair of boots because they were going on to job sites. They were going into factories.
Right.
They took pride in themselves.
Yeah.
If you're going to sit there, the thing of it is this. I don't give a damn what you wear. But if you're going to look like a slob, then you're going to get paid. You're not going to get paid the same as what somebody who looks different.
Right.
When you watch, I don't know how many people have seen people coming into the NFLs and stuff like that. You don't see a lawyer walk into court without a suit and tie on.
Right.
Very rarely have I ever seen somebody walk into court without a suit and tie on.
Right.
You don't see professional athletes walking in looking like a half-made bed.
You're not seeing.
Come on,
you're
y'all.
not seeing.
Y'all want to get
seeing,
paid professional money, but you don't want to look or act professional.
Well, when's the last time you saw a firefighter? When's the last time you saw a firefighter like that, or a police officer show up at work like that, or in EMS? Would you, if EMS showed up at your door to, pull your wife, your husband, or help your child, and they look the way that some of these truck drivers do out here, would you allow them in your house to take care of your kid or your wife or your husband? No, you're staying outside my door. I don't want you in my home.
Well, especially with the way that some of them smell because they say they can't take a shower. How can you not take a shower?
There has to be a level of professionalism.
Look, come on. I don't understand how you cannot take a shower. You get fuel. Almost every place that I know of that sells fuel sells a shower.
Yeah.
I mean, even the little truck stop that when I was stuck up there in Leipzig, Ohio here a week or two ago for the weekend, they had a shower. It was one shower. It wasn't the greatest shower, but they sold fuel and they sold a shower.
The only truck stop, and it's not really a truck stop, it's more of a fuel station, but the only one I've seen that really doesn't have a shower in it is Quick Trip with a Q. I have seen, they're the only ones that I know of. The fuel's is a little cheaper to get, but they do not have a shower available. But their bathrooms are always clean. You can take care, you can do a quick wash up and be fresh and back on the road.
Well, hey, let me throw this one out here. For all of y'all out here that say that maybe you aren't able to shower every day, I literally just got these things in. They're called Scubbz.
Yep.
It takes a little bit of water. They're mainly used in the medical industry. And I will try to put, when I post this, I will try to post a link to their website in the description for when this goes on to YouTube.
That'd be very cool. That'd be very cool.
For the Scubbz. And if you go in there and you look at it, matter of fact, if I pull a clip out of this, I'll try to actually put it in there as well, to go to Scubbz. These things here, if you only have a small bottle of water, you don't have to rinse yourself with them.
I've seen those.
A little bit of water to them. You use one for here, get out another one, use it for your, private areas.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And then you go through and you just dry off with a towel. And it's it.
Right.
It's literally hypoallergenic. They use them in the medical industry. They use them for elderly people in the nursing homes and stuff that are not ambulatory. We've all heard of the bed baths and stuff. It's a way to do a bed bath. It's a single use object, boom, little water, boom, clean yourself up. There's no rinse to it. It doesn't, irritate the skin or anything. It's great. Yeah. It cost a little bit of money for those, but I mean, I'll look it up right here. I think I only spent like $60 and I've got enough to last me for 6 months.
There you go.
So, I mean, it's just, I don't understand how it is that people are not able to keep themselves clean, but you want to be paid as you're a professional.
I mean, you want to be paid as a professional. You've got to be a professional at your job, and that's just all there is to it. Being comfortable in the truck is one thing. When you step out of that rig whether it be your name on the rig, whether it be your company, whether it be somebody else's, you represent that company. You represent, and more so, you absolutely represent the trucking industry as a whole. Anybody who visually puts eyes to you is going to judge the industry and every trucker out here on what they see you as.
So yeah, here
I won't leave. Listen, I'm unshaven today.
$48.99. Hold on,
there it is.
$48.99 for 6-pack plus 2 free, which is 200 sheets.
Right.
So if you go through and do $48.99 divided by 200 sheets, that costs you $0.25 a sheet.
Yeah.
Now I understand some people might not be able to spend the $48.99. I get that. I understand that. But I bought a 6-pack. You don't have to buy a 6-pack.
Right.
I did that, so I got 2 extra packs for free. I think there's like 25 of those sheets in a pack.
Yep.
Hey, look, come on, y'all. They have dude wipes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
If you want to be professional,
Well,
you want to be like a professional, let's act like professionals for Christ's sakes.
Well, and before I circle back, there's that's the point of it. We need to start taking self-accountability inside the industry before we start pointing fingers at anybody else and saying that they're the problem. If we don't straighten up our own industry interior wise, you can't do anything with a county official, a state official, federal official. There's no reason to move forward with any of that when they can go out. They will literally laugh at you until they fall over because they can't breathe. Because unless you fix interior and show an increase in professionalism and increase in how we act, not only to one another, but also to the communities that we're serving, until you bring those standards to a new level, you're just going to be laughed off the stage. That's just all there is to it. So accountability and the Federation is all about accountability. It's not just the people that we have to work with. It's inside the industry that we need accountability. And we have a lot of company drivers. We have a lot of professional owner operators. We have a lot of independents that take a lot of pride in their truck, in their appearance, and how they present themselves. It's really awesome to see, but we need a higher percentage than what we got right now. And what we have right now is bringing us down to a substandard where, any change that we try to make is not going to happen because we're going to be laughed out of the building.
Well, look, I hate to tell you this one, but the same source that I have that tells me that the broker transparency is going to expand out to the carrier and driver transparency.
Right.
They already are laughing at us.
Oh no, I got it.
Look, this is the thing about it. When they have read what these others have written and what these others are doing.
Right.
And they literally are laughing because not a single one of them, it doesn't seem like, understands what goes on in government. And if you're literally going to be asking the government for change, you might want to think about going through and knowing what the government is doing and how they do it.
Well, and that's the thing. Okay. There are so few that are, and I'm going to say 3 out of the 4, there's one that understands government. And I think with all honesty, the more I watch this individual, and I'm not going to call names out right now, there's no reason for it right now, but the more I watch this one individual, he uses the knowledge that he's got to play again on emotion. And again, we just circle back around again. What I'm going to advise is if you're a trucker, if you're a family member of a trucker, and they're telling you that they're following so-and-so, including the Federation. Okay. This doesn't go for everybody but us. Let them understand it. Are they educating you? Are they providing you with, are they trying to find a way to aid the community? What is their end game? What is their end goal? Do they have a personal agenda? Do they have a financial agenda? What are they being are they being transparent? Are they asking for funds and not being, showing where those funds are going? Are they selling merchandise and telling you one thing but won't back it up? Ask all these questions, because if somewhere in there's a red flag, you need to stop. You just need to stop it. Put the emotion aside and let the intellectual side of your brain catch up to the emotion and ask questions. We are seeing people prey on two that aren't even associations right now. They're actually just individuals that are playing so hard on emotion that any kind of donation, and we know there's something going on there, but anything that's going to them is going personally to them with absolutely 0 transparency. And that is a serious problem, folks. Okay, if you're receiving a financial contribution from any individual, you should be a legitimate, absolute legitimate organization providing some kind of record, so that if somebody asks a question, the records are available. It should be a major red flag if you send somebody $100, folks. If you send somebody $100, but you end up getting to that point where a question in your mind, where'd that $100 go? Or I know I'm not the only one sending this, so where is this money going? And they say, I'm sorry, we don't release those records. The instant they say that, you should be immediately questioning on whether or not you should be following those individuals in the first place.
Well, I'm just going to put it to you this way. When you start following individuals and you aren't following associations, especially ones that have 501c3 or 501c4 designation, and you're literally just out here following just somebody, of course, all that money is going to go directly to them. They have not separated themselves from the movement, from the advocacy. They have all they're doing is putting it in their own pocket. And then at that point, there is no transparency requirement, because they're not.
Well,
it's basically you giving them a gift of $100
basically
or $50 or $10 or $20.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
If you're buying T-shirts from them, you're literally just putting money in their pocket. They don't have to use that. They can tell you, oh, we're using this money to do this, or we're using this money to do that. I mean, I'm going to say one of the names: OIDA. OOIDA. OIDA.
No, you're not wrong.
I mean, I will say this: OIDA. I use them for my fuel. I got a fuel card with them. I also use them for my drug consortium. I use that.
They absolutely have.
But the thing of it is I don't have any kind of, misconstrued imagination.
Right.
Because of being in the industry as long as I have, that OIDA is using that for the good. When they have the amount of money that they have in assets that we've literally seen and seen from all the 990s.
Right.
Look, I have no misconceptions that this money isn't going to keep you guys living in your 7,000 square foot homes or whatever it is, in your 4 to 5 3-week vacations you take a year or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. I have no misconceptions about that.
Listen,
but I'm using them for a service. So, and you know what? I'm paying for a service.
Exactly, there it is.
That's the profit. It's whatever. You make a profit on that service, it is what it is.
You have to be smart enough to separate their business from their representation. And OIDA is one of those individuals who has created division lines. Whether they want to admit it or whether anybody else wants to acknowledge it is a whole different ballgame. They have created a division line because they operate and supposedly support the owner operators and independents. Now, I disagree with that completely, wholeheartedly. Like you said, we've seen the 990s. We know what it is that they've got in assets. We know how much they could be helping the owner operators and independents with certain programs that haven't been developed. But, and this is a big but, they have the fuel card program. They have the drug consortium. They have a cheaper life insurance policy for the truck drivers out there. They have some programs that are absolutely beneficial and should, if you're paying attention, you should go look into them. The problem is you've got to pay a membership fee in order to be able to utilize those things. Now, your intellectual thinking, this is where your intellectual thinking comes in, is once you make that initial payment, you have given OOIDA, whether you believe in them or not, and you're only there for the services, you have given OOIDA permission to utilize you as a, well, we have 150,001 supporters that pay their fees and believe in us. And actually you don't. But the problem is you have given them authority to go ahead and utilize that because you paid the membership fee. So OOIDA is one of those ones who, you know as well as I do, is very proud to walk around and go, well, we have 150 or we have 175 or we have 200,000 members that believe in OOIDA. The fact of the matter is, OOIDA, if you're paying attention, most of us out here quit believing in you 15 years ago. Or longer.
I can tell you, when Pew went in there in front of the freaking Congress and he told me that one of the most important things was the bathroom access.
Yeah.
Look, folks, if I'm here to tell you, if you go through and look it up, OSHA literally made it a rule that you have to make it available. That's why one of these people that we're talking about, that we're not going to sit here and name names right now, but I literally just watched them make a couple of videos and post them about the fact that, we can't even be human enough to have bathroom access. Like, come on, guys. Are we serious? I have not been to anywhere that doesn't have a freaking porta-john.
Well, let's chase a small train here for a minute. We're going to chase a small rabbit hole. We're going to follow that line right there. You, as a truck driver, as a professional truck driver, are responsible for knowing a lot of things. A lot. Yeah. What you don't know, you have more than enough time to ask questions. There is so much that you can utilize technology for now and get real answers for, which takes minutes to get a real answer off, whether it be internet or be something else. There is a ton of information. Now, that being said, you get on a site that doesn't have a bathroom, doesn't allow you to have a bathroom, and you look up OSHA, and OSHA regulations state that location must provide a bathroom for the shipping, receiving side, whatever the case may be. And they don't have one. That is a quick call to OSHA with the location, the address, and then, and if you need be, a phone number for that location. OSHA will then follow up and go, listen, you're violating OSHA regulations. Why don't you have this in place? You put that in OSHA's hands. You keep fighting for the wrong things in here that have already got more than enough regulations or laws that are already in place, but you keep fighting for the same junk over and over again instead of just making a phone call. That's all it takes. Broker transparency. It's a joke term. It's played on. It's overused. The trucking industry blames the entire broker side when it's literally one or two bad, well, maybe a handful more of bad brokers out of 300,000 that might be out there. And that number, I'm just throwing that number out there. It's not a definite number. But you're blaming you're doing exactly what everybody's done with the trucking industry. You're pinpointing the worst truck drivers and you're telling everybody that the trucking industry is just god awful bad because of the one truck driver that you saw that represents themselves very poorly. And you're doing the same thing. The trucking industry is now turning around and doing the same thing with the brokers. The fact is that brokers aren't the problem. The brokers aren't the problem. They've never been the problem.
Cheetah thing. That's that whole TQL cheetah thing that I've talked about so much. And this is where I blame TQL so much for this broker transparency bullshit. Because all it took was for one freaking instant of it to be published and somebody could grab a hold of it and say, look right here, they took 40%. They took 40% from the driver. No, the driver agreed to the rate. Driver agreed to the rate. And
There it is.
that driver should take responsibility for agreeing to that rate. I don't give a shit if you come back later on and you find out it's 40%. I don't care. I really don't care. I really
I
give
absolutely
two shits
agree.
less. But I'm going to tell you, this is how I blame 2QL for this nonsense, because they turn around. They should have known better than to try to pull some bullshit like that, because all it takes is one person to be able to go through. And this is like that article that I put out there. After Leander freaking opened my mind and my eyes up and I looked into it, all it takes is for one carrier to go through and know that look up some court cases like I did, and it shows in the court case. It has to explicitly state the right you're giving up when you waive that right. And if it's not in there, then the broker has no leg to stand on that you're waiving. They can't just simply blanketly put out there, you're waiving your rights, because that puts any right. Right. And there's a lot of them that are in the U.S. code that say that cannot be waived. So yes, in the contract it can say, but it has to state, you're waiving your right to 13708, or you're waiving your right to 371.3C. That's what it has to say. If it doesn't say that, and that's what happened. Pink Cheetah literally went through. I'm assuming that she probably realized what it was, seen that, files a motion with the FMCSA. Once she files the motion, bing, bang, boom. Okay.
Right.
So now it's put out here. And now that's all it took for a lot of these guys and gals out here. They only need, for whatever reason, they only want to pay attention to the exceptions and not the rule. And it's an exception. Well, he said one time was an exemption. And they go through, and now it's every broker's taking 40%. Bullshit. I literally haul for freaking traders directly, and I literally had a broker just the other day. I called him up. I was like, hey, man, can you find me a load out of here? I was like, I'm in a pickle, okay? And Mike, if you do watch this, thank you, brother. You do a great job for me. You're amazing. Hell, they literally just gave me like $300 worth of freaking like sweatshirts and shit to buy and stuff like that. But anyways, he goes to, I know where he got the load because I deal with Bill and Kip every day. I know what their loads pay. I know what they pay. And so I know a general idea of where that's at. If it would have been, if Mike was keeping 40% when I called him, the fucking load would have paid $7 a mile.
Right.
And I've never pulled a load for them that pays that much money. I've never had. And they take very good care of me. It's direct. I know what they're paying. It is what it is. I'll guarantee you it was probably somewhere around that 10 to 20% range. And you know what? I was perfectly fine with it, because when Mike called me up and he said, hey, bro, I got this load paying this much going from where here to here. And I did the math and I went, yep, that's going to put about 65 cents profit in my pocket after it's all said and done. Cha-ching! I'll take that.
Well,
and when I mean profit, I've paid everything on that mile that I needed to pay. I've taken the money out for my personal bills. I've taken the money out for my freaking business. Everything's paid. I got 65 cents profit on that mile. It was a 500-mile run, folks.
Right.
I literally, and you know what? I made $300 profit after paying all of my own bills and everything else on it. So all it takes is that one idiot to grab a hold of this nonsense here of, one of them did 40%, and now we're going to go through and we're going to turn the whole entire industry on its head.
Well, what happens here,
That's
Mike, what happens is it's a follow-up. What you have is the one person, you already called them out. I don't need to call them out again. Did a 40%. It hit social media. Once it hits social media, what you have is all these individuals, and we know a few of them already. What we have is a few individuals that see one instant. And in the back of their mind, they're going, okay, I can increase my ratings. I can increase my following. If I utilize this just right, I am going to blow up. And we know a few people that are in the trucking industry. There's a couple out there in particular that are making anywhere between $5,000 and $20,000 a week because of their trucking, social media, platform. That keep preaching the same thing, and what they're doing is building a following. They're not actually educating.
Probably more about a month.
Really,
But
really sad.
it's more of a per month thing, I would say. I don't think it's
Yeah,
a per week, but I think it's a per month.
Well, per month. So apologies, on the
when you
weekly.
look at, all you got to do is look at the follower accounts, see what they're producing, see what the clicks are, and it'll give you an idea what they're producing. So
you have one problem, and it pops up on social media. You have the quote users that get a hold of that problem, figure how they're going to be able to utilize that problem to get your emotion at such a high that you have no problems following them blindly follow them, because now they've got you upset. They then, once they get 30, 60, 90 days in, they start preaching, well, I need funding to do this and funding to do that and funding to do this. And you're so angry. They've got you so fired up over that short period of time that you don't have a problem with getting that money to them, because they're promising you everything. Yeah. Here's the difference. And this is why we're talking about associations today. Here's the difference. We haven't, the only people that are getting more ticked off daily are myself, Mike, and our group. We're not out there ticking you off. We're out there providing you education. And this is more on a Mike side than me side right now, but I'm catching up shortly. But we're providing education. We're providing links. So you're being provided with all this background information so that you can go learn yourself, so that you can control those emotions. Now, once those emotions are controlled, you're going to be able to take a long look at who you're following, why you're following them, and what you've done to help them get to the point that they're at. And we're going to get into some of the consequences of that here very shortly. But if you start really examining everything, it has a start, it has a middle, and it has an end. And usually the end is when they've hit their goal, or they've hit their peak, or hit their financial or personal agendas. And then all of a sudden you're going to see these people fall off. They're just going to fall off. They can sit there and promise you I promise we're going to get this. We're going to throw this against the wall and something's going to stick. I promise we're going to get this accomplished. I promise we're going to get this done. I hate that term with a passion. So do I. Here's the thing.
Just because you throw bullshit against the wall doesn't turn it into gold, folks.
ATA makes promises. OIDAs make promises. We're seeing individual groups or individuals on TikTok, Facebook, and all the rest of these forums make you promises. We've never made you one. Not one. What we have done is we've actually done the work. We still continue to do the work. We haven't stopped doing the work. We lead by example. We haven't asked anybody for nothing. We're not starting now. We're doing it ourselves. It's all interior work. There's major differences, and you really need to look. And this is where it floats into today's associations and the amount of damage they're doing, and not just associations, individuals. Because some of these individuals aren't associations, folks. You better go look it up. You better recognize you are gifting them your money. They are not going to help you later down the road. If you're stranded and broke down, they're not going to respond to you. If you're in a family emergency, they are not going to help you. They're probably going to ask the entire trucking industry to start funding them so that they can fund you. But I guarantee you that you're not going to see it all. So start paying attention to legitimate associations versus individuals. Look at the intellectual, not the emotion. And this is where I'm going to let you take over, because you really do have a lot more knowledge, Mike. But today's associations, dudes, these individuals, how much damage are they really doing to the industry?
Well, see, this is the thing. You have some of them out here that are individuals. There is no nonprofit designation. There's no LLC type designation. It's literally a personal level. Okay. And I understand some of them are saying, hey, we're not taking any, we're not taking donations. We're not selling t-shirts. We're not doing this. We're not doing that, whatever. Look, if you want to know they are, all you have to do is go into you can do the TikTok, you can go to Instagram, Facebook, you can go to YouTube. You can literally start to search these. You can search Google. DuckDuckGo. What is it? Bing, I think, is the Microsoft version of a search engine.
Yes.
Choose your pleasure, okay, on what you would like to start searching this. You'll find out whether or not if they're selling t-shirts. You'll find out whether or not if they're literally trying to pull donations and stuff. You go through, look at their link bio, look at their bios, and look and see if there's links in there. If there's links in there that's got GoFundMe's and stuff like that, guess what? That's taking donations. You know, I know of one that's taking donations that's going to probably try to get this other one that thinks that they're going to go to Congress. I hate to tell y'all, but that GoFundMe that you're doing for that's illegal. As soon as he takes any of that money, he ain't going nowhere. He's automatically went against the rules. So GoFundMe's cannot be started for any kind of a, any kind of a run for politics. It's illegal. It's done. It's right there in the rules. Sorry. So where's that money really going? Because if they know that's what the case is, and they're still taking donations, because all of them, if you talk to any of them, they're smarter than Albert Einstein,
right.
Even though you got some going to Washington and they can't even figure out that, you might want to look at what the itinerary is of the individual for that time and realize that, oh my God, they're all going to be in AmFest. We're not going to be able to talk to anybody because they're all in Phoenix while I'm in Washington, D.C. And that was including the president because he was scheduled to speak at AmFest.
Right.
Like, if we're going to sit here and we're going to start following people, folks, can we start actually use some critical thinking skills? If they can't even sit there and stop for a second and use Google, the smartphone that they have in their hand most of the time and that they're using to do their lives on and their reels and their videos and their photos and all of that stuff, because that's what most everybody does when they're out on the road. And you know how I know this? I do it myself. A lot of times when we do our lives, I take my smartphone right here and I put it in a little stand,
I do the same
thing. It's sitting here looking at me. You know what I mean?
I do the same thing.
Look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but what I'm saying is use it, because you literally have the world's information in your hand right here. Yeah. It just takes time. It just takes time to go through and do it. So, but if you're going to, go through and you're going to look at these associations and you're going to talk about them, and we're going to sit here and go, if you got an individual and they can't even stop for 5 seconds to look and see what the itinerary would be before they decide to truck, what was that? Probably 3/4 of the way across America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I believe in my heart of hearts that you are literally trying to do you're trying to do right.
Right.
But we need to stop and have some common sense. Okay. And if we can't stop for 5 seconds and remove the emotion and bring in some logical common sense thinking, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Well, we've said time and time again. We've said time and time again. I've said time and time again. I won't put words in your mouth, but I've said time and time again, any individual in the beginning stages of any kind of fight that decides to go to Washington and put on the show, ladies and gentlemen, they're just putting on a show. It's just a show. There's no background work. There's no real depth diving. It is just a show, and it is a show designed for you so that they got your attention. They can play it like they're doing something. So somewhere down the line, just like every government official does in the world, sleight of hand movement. Look at this hand while I slip this one into your back pocket and take what I need. It is a show.
I don't want to say that about the one that went to Washington D.C.
No.
But what I will say about some of that though is my thing on it is this: ignorance does not excuse stupidity or idiocy.
Correct.
Not today. It doesn't. There is this thing of stop and think about what you're going to do before you act.
Right.
Think about what you're going to do before you act.
Right. I agree.
I mean, if we need to do this all the way around. But the other thing that I can say when it comes to some of these associations is if these associations are going through and they are trying, if they're sitting here claiming unity, or we need to bring the trucking industry together, and this is for the trucking industry, and then as soon as somebody goes through and decides to block another person or another entity because they have they disagree with what they have going on. If your ideals cannot stand up to scrutiny, what does that say about your ideals?
No, I agreed.
If you're, I mean, literally, if you have this idea, and you have this, and you say that this is what it's going to be, and this is what it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to sit here and say that I have this idea, and your idea cannot stand up to scrutiny, it's obviously not a good idea. If you have, if you have people that are questioning it, and you have people that are saying, look, that doesn't do anything except for do this, and this isn't what the mission is here, then yeah, because look, if it's about money, all that is it's about greed. If people are making movements and trying to advocate for money, in anything that has to do with money, whether this is wage or rate floors, earning caps, any of that stuff, anything that has to do with money, because all of that has to do with money. Minimum wage, any of that stuff, it all has to do with money. That's a greed thing. Now I understand we do have to have certain things, like we had to go through, and we had to do the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Yeah.
And I understand we do have to have a certain amount of government oversight, because unfortunately, like I've also said in the past, you cannot trust in human beings to do the right thing. You can't even trust them to be considerate of others. And this is the whole reason, like if we were to talk just briefly about the OSHA and the bathroom thing, part of that law that everybody wants to talk about, they're like, oh, well, they had to make a law just so you could use the bathroom. No, actually, the other part of that law states how many bathrooms actually have to have per person working there.
Right.
And the reason being is because we have a co-ed workforce, meaning we have both male and females in there. And so we also have a lot of people in this country that believe that women and men should not be using the bathroom in the same place at the same time. And that's a majority of the thought process in the United States. So with that being said, you have to have a certain amount of bathroom facilities for men and certain bathroom facilities for women. Because think about it this way also. If you have a factory, we'll say that factory holds 1,000 people, okay? And we'll say you have a 60-40 workplace as far as men to women. 60% men, 40% women. Now, you only offer 2 bathrooms. And they're unisex bathrooms. So it's literally just a bathroom that we've all seen that's kind of like a porta-john. Mm-hmm. You have a sink, you have a toilet, you have a trash can. That's what you have. Maybe a mirror above the sink. And each one's that way. So it really doesn't matter who goes in there, because it's almost the same thing as using your bathroom at your house, which is just, the only difference is it has a shower in it, it's a full bath. If it's a half bath at your house, it's the same thing. It's a toilet and a sink to wash your hands afterwards, which, yes, all of you, I'm just going to do a little sideway here. Well, one more here. After you use the bathroom, you should please wash your hands, truck drivers.
Yeah,
it takes 5 seconds. I don't care if you pee or poop. I'm tired of watching y'all walk past me while I'm washing mine after I watched you freaking do what you did. It's disgusting. Yeah. Anyways, if you have 2 bathrooms for 1,000 people, that is not enough bathrooms for 2,000 people.
No, not even close.
We've all been to freaking football or baseball or basketball games for a high school level or whatever, while we were either in high school, or some of us older that have children that are in the high school age and stuff, or maybe they had younger siblings, and we went there, and we've all seen the lines because they didn't think that there was going to be that many people show up for the game, and they got 4 porta-johns, and they got 500 people on each side of the stadium, and you got 4 porta-johns there. You got a line that goes all the way out the freaking back. Hell, it takes 30 minutes for half the freaking crowd to be able to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
So that right there is not, that is not safe. That is not sanitary, because we also have people that have gastrointestinal issues that need to be able to use the bathroom more often than some people. Yep. So we need to be considering those folks. So that is one of the reasons why OSHA also did that rule, so that we have enough bathrooms per person. And, I looked it up here, so my phones went off on me, but it's literally for 1 to 15 employees, you need 1 toilet. For 16 to 35 employees, you need 2 toilets. For 36 to 55 employees, you need 3 toilets. For 56 to 80, you need 4. 81 to 110, you need 5. 111 to 150, you need 6 toilets. Over 150 employees, 1 additional toilet for every 40 or more employees.
Right.
So not only did it say that you need to have a restroom facility for your workers, which that workers,
Right.
if you look at the definitions, also does include anybody that might be a truck driver that's also coming in there to deliver goods or pick up goods from your facility.
Right.
So this is it covers us, and it also puts an amount of toilets in there so that we have the proper amount to be able to let somebody be able to get, be able to go and use the restroom as they need to. So,
With that,
you know,
for just a minute, we're going to take a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, stick with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks for rolling with us on the new trucking standard, brought to you by the Federation of Professional Truckers. From our seats to the nation we serve, stay safe out there and keep on trucking.